Assalamualaikum students, I am Arya from Midland High School. I am your teacher of science. Today we will start our new chapter which is chapter number 4, discovering plants. First of all, what is the meaning of discovering? What is the meaning of discovering? Discovering means to identify something, to discover something. And what are plants? All you know about that plants are living things. They are also producers. They make their own food. They prepare oxygen for us. According to our chapter, which is discovering plants, means to identify the parts of the plants, to identify, to talk about, to learn about the features of the plants and function of the. Now come to our first topic, which is reproduction of flowering plants. Now, first of all, what is reproduction? Reproduction, it is a process in which new offsprings are produced. Offsprings are new baby plants. It is a process in which new baby plants are produced. Is called as reproduction. And what is flowering plants? Flowering plants are those plants which have flowers and which have both female and male parts, known as flowering plants. The reproduction of flowering plants involve in following process. The first one is pollination. Second one is fertilization. Third one is seed dispersal. And last one is germination. These are four main processes that are involved in reproduction of flowering. Now in this lecture we will learn about pollination. We will learn about definition of pollination. Definition of pollination, agents that are involved in pollination, and types of pollination. Pollination, what is pollination? The transfer of pollen grains from anther of a flower to the stigma of the same flower or an different flower or the different plants is known as pollination. The agents that are involved, that are responsible for pollination, first one is wind or air. When wind blows, the pollen grains are lightweighted and wind moves the pollen grains with us, and it is the responsible for the transfer of pollen grains. And second one is water. Generally, the plants which are living inside the water that transfer the pollen grains with the help of water, and it is the cause of pollination. And third one is by insects. This is the most common method which are used. This is the most common method that are used in pollination. The insect sit on a flower, capture their pollen grains with their hind legs and transfer to another part of the plant. And our last one is types of plants. There are two main types of plants. Here are two types of pollination. First one is self pollination. pollination. This diagram shows the self-pollination. First of all, I will tell you about the parts of a flower. The very first part of a flower is sepal. What is the color of a sepal? It is in green color and its function to hold the plant. And the second part of a flower is petal. You know, the petals are brightly in color and its function to attract the insects towards its cell. And the next part of the flower is stigma, which is the female part of a flower. And next one is anther, which is male part of a flower. And next one is pollen grains. The self-pollination, self means in its self. When we are talk about self, it means we are talking about single species. The self-pollination is the transfer of pollen grains from anther, which is the male part of a flower, to the stigma of the same flower. Stigma, which is, I have already told you about stigma, which is the female part of a plant. When the pollen grains transfer from anther of one flower to the stigma of the same flower is known as self-pollination. And let's move on. Next type of pollination, which is cross-pollination. In cross-pollination, the transfer of pollen grains. I have already. In cross-pollination, the transfer of pollen grains, I have already told you about that. These are pollen grains. The transfer of pollen grains from anther of one flower to the stigma of an other flower. The transfer of pollen grains from anther of one flower to the stigma of an other flower is known as. Here is the difference between self-pollination and cross-pollination is the self-pollination, the transfer of pollen grains from the same flower, and instead of self-pollination, the cross-pollination is the transfer of pollen grains to the different. Now I will recall my lecture. In today's lecture we have learned about discovering plants. What are discovering plants? Discovering plants means to identify the parts of the plants, to discover the function of the plants. And next one is reproduction of flowering plants. What is reproduction? Reproduction is the process in which new offsprings are produced, in which new baby plants are produced. And flowering plants are plants. They have flowers, they have both male and female parts, and the processes that are involved in reproduction of plants. The first one is pollination, and next one is fertilization, and third one is seed dispersion, and last one is germination. Now we have already discussed about the pollination. What is pollination? Pollination is a process in which the transfer of pollen grains from anther of one flower to the stigma of the same flower and other flower. And the agents that are responsible for the pollination, the first one is wind, second one is water, and last one is insects. And the types of pollination. Here is the two types of pollination. The first one is self-pollination, and the second one is cross-pollination. The self-pollination is the pollination, the transfer of pollen grains from anther of one flower to the stigma of the same flower is known as self-pollination. And the cross-pollination is the transfer of pollen grains from anther of one flower to the stigma of another flower is known as. Next, your assignment. Practice a diagram for both self and cross pollination, and also write the function of the flower. Thank you.